Welcome into college football now. I am your host, Harrison Graham, just 2 days away from early National Signing Day in college football this Wednesday, December 18th. So let's take a look at Alabama's 2020 recruiting class as it sits right now. Nick Saban's pulled in 25 commits, 3 5-stars, 18 4-stars, and of course 4 3-stars to round out that nice 25 number for Nick Saban. Again, these guys can officially sign this Wednesday, December 18th, and a lot of them will if they want to enroll in the spring. Guys, I know it was a rough season for Alabama standards, not in the college football playoff, not even in a New Year's Six game, still won 10 games. True Bama fans, let's get Roll Tide going in the comment section. Type Roll Tide down below. I'm typing my Roll Tide as we speak. Let's get the Roll Tides going. I think they're going to bounce back next season, and it's all going to start with this 2020 recruiting class. So let's get into it. The top commit for Nick Saban this year, 5-star quarterback Bryce Young, number 1 overall quarterback, number 1 dual threat, obviously, as well. He's just 5'11", 185 pounds or so, needs to bulk up, especially being undersized at 5'11". For his size, excellent arm, can make all the throws with good velocity, has that term escapability that I like to use where he can just make guys miss in the pocket. He uses his legs to throw more than he uses his legs to run. Obviously, he can run, but he is a very capable runner. To me, he is an undersized Deshaun Watson. That is what I see on the tape as we roll some of it for you guys right now. Makes guys miss. He dances around and waits for guys to get open and delivers the football down the field. Obviously, he will use his legs to run, but he's using his legs to throw more often than not. Very escapable quarterback. Some compare him to Russell Wilson. I think he's more like Deshaun Watson. That's more of what I see on tape. Just a little bit smaller at 5'11". Bryce Young, top player in this year's class for Nick Saban. Second guy here, Chris Braswell, the 5-star defensive end, the number 17 overall player in this class for Nick Saban. Freak athlete, can play all defensive end, can play linebacker, he can line it up inside, line up outside, 6'3", 220. Expect him to put on 15 or 20 pounds once he gets onto campus. He can run sideline to sideline, he can blitz, he can play in some coverage if you need him to. We're going to be looking at this guy in 3 years as probably a top 10 or 15 pick. He is just that talented. Chris Braswell, the 5-star defensive end out of Baltimore, Maryland. Next up, we got Drew Sanders, the 5-star athlete and the final 5-star for this year's class for Alabama, number 21 overall player. Played everywhere in high school. Played quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, safety, linebacker. Played everywhere at his high school, Denton Ryan in Texas, one of the top high school programs here in the state of Texas. Nick Saban was able to scoop him up. Lots of latent Vander Esch to this kid. 6'5", similar to LVE, a taller linebacker who's rangy, can run sideline to sideline. I think he'll play linebacker at Alabama. Number 4 player here, you got Demouy Kennedy, the 4-star linebacker, number 34 overall player in this class out of Theodore, Alabama. Really good athlete here, can run, he can cover if you need him to. Good blitzing linebacker as well. One of the best athletes in this class. You see he's pretty lean there at 215 pounds. Might just be one of those stand-up rushers from the outside linebacker position. That is what I think he could translate into. Right now, they're labeling him as an inside linebacker. 24/7 Sports is. I think he's better suited as an outside guy. He's got a lot of speed coming off the edge. Next 4-star here, Quandarrius Robinson, another linebacker. Tons of linebackers in this class, which is needed because Bama's going to lose Dylan Moses. They already weren't very good at that position this year. The defense struggled, as you guys know. Another top 50 player for Nick Saban, number 6 outside linebacker in this class out of Birmingham, very close to home. He'll be comfortable. He should transition very smoothly onto campus. 217 pounds, kind of like the last guy, a little bit undersized, needs to put on some weight, but we know how it goes at Alabama. In 2 years, he'll be looking like an NFL linebacker. So Robinson should contribute by his sophomore or junior season. Now, if you take a look at the top 5 recruiting classes, Bama and Clemson have kind of been flip-flopping. Clemson retook the lead recently. They are number 1 according to the 24/7 composite rankings. LSU right on their heels as well at number 3. Ohio State and Texas A&M rounding out the top 5. But Bama and Clemson have kind of been jockeying for that number 1 spot. So I'll ask you guys, who will land the #1 recruiting class in 2020? Probably going to be between Alabama and Clemson. You might get hit with the YouTube ad break here. If you do, just scroll down. This will be the pinned comment. Who will land the #1 recruiting class in 2020? Next up here, we got Brian Branch, the 4-star safety, number 58 overall player. Nick Saban, look, they need defensive help all over the place. This is the worst defense he's had this year in quite some time. Linebackers struggled, secondary struggled. Branch, really good ball skills, played a lot of wide receiver in high school, has the ability to force turnovers. Kid out of Georgia, Sandy Creek High School there. Number 58 overall player, number 3 safety. I expect him to contribute on special teams from day one. Might even get some playing time as well for a younger defense in Tuscaloosa. Will Anderson, the 4-star defensive end, number 78 overall player. Another defensive guy here for Nick Saban. Look, clearly Saban and Alabama made a point to recruit more on the defensive side this year. They got to improve in that area. Kid out of Hampton, Georgia, another top 100 commit. We all know Nick Saban is recruiting some of the best in the country. Already 233 pounds out of Hampton, Georgia. Will Anderson, I like this kid. He is a freak athlete. I think he will play some even as a freshman. He already has good enough size. As you see some of the tape here, has that nice little outside swim move, can get after the quarterback. He's not a great run defender, so keep that in mind. He can get after the quarterback, has a major learning curve as far as defending the run will go. That'll be his biggest adjustment, but he's ready to rush the passer right now, and I think he will have a chance to contribute and to play as a freshman for Nick Saban. You guys have seen the highlights. He is active in the backfield. Offensive tackles in high school had no chance. We'll see if he can translate to the college level. This guy definitely can translate to the college level. Timothy Smith. Now, there's some concern that Florida is going to flip this kid. The last couple of months, Florida's gotten into the mix. He actually just visited on December 13th, and that would be a major blow to Alabama's recruiting class. Top 100 player. He's ready to contribute right away. 6'4", 320 pounds. He's a bowling ball in the middle of any defensive line. This would be a major loss if Timothy Smith got flipped to Florida, if Dan Mullen and company were able to flip him. But right now, he's still committed to Bama. We'll see if something happens on Wednesday for early National Signing Day. It wouldn't be an Alabama recruiting class if a running back wasn't in it. 4-star Roydell Williams. Now, he's not the typical guy that you see his high school picture and you're like, that guy looks like he's 30. He's 6'2", 230. Not the case here. 5'10", 202 pounds, more of a scat back. Does run with power, catches the ball extremely well. I would expect him as a freshman to be involved on special teams and to catch the ball some out of the backfield. He played a lot of slot receiver in high school as well. I think he can contribute as a freshman. Don't think he will redshirt, especially with guys like Najee Harris expected to go pro. Roydell Williams, the running back out of Hueytown, Alabama, should be a contributor right away. Next up, we got the first receiver in this class, Thaiu Jones-Bell, number 101 overall player, just outside the top 100. Top receiver for Nick Saban. Watched a decent amount of tape on this kid. Beats man coverage on the outside with very good route running pretty easily. Now, he's only 5'11", buck 87, so needs to put on a little bit of weight, but I think he can play the inside, can play the outside. Don't want to call him Amari Cooper, but he's able to move around the field, similar to, like you Bama fans know, Amari Cooper was able to do with his elite route running. I think he'll be a special teams guy as a freshman, and by his sophomore year should contribute in the offense. That is Thaiu Jones-Bell. Now, Bama fans, it's not too late to get yourself some Christmas gifts, some Bama gear for Christmas. Chatsports.com/Bama sale. Got to make sure to click the proper shipping method, and our partner Fanatics says you will get your gear by Christmas Eve. Like this Bama quarter zip at 30% off at just $24.49. You want a Bama hoodie? It's getting cold this time of year. 30% off. Chatsports.com/Bama sale for all of these items, including these sweet Bama shoes at under $100, $99.99 right there. 30% off right now. Our partner Fanatics, again, got to choose the proper shipping method. Chatsports.com/Bama sale. When you check out, pick the proper method, and you will get your gear by December 24th, and you can wrap that Christmas present before Christmas Day. Keep it rolling here with this Bama 2020 recruiting class. Javon Baker, I mentioned lots of receivers coming up here. 137th overall ranked player. Now, not the fastest guy, He's more of a jump ball receiver. 6'1", 6'2", has pretty good size. He can high point the football. He is going to be a red zone target for Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian, and this office. Next player up here, Jackson Bratton, the 4-star linebacker. Again, just another linebacker in this class. Probably more of an inside linebacker type, really good run defender. Not great in coverage. I think he's one of those more hard-hitting type of players. That is what I would expect out of Jackson Bratton. Malachi Moore, the 4-star safety, top 200 player, second safety in this class. Doesn't have top-end speed, but he has very long strides and good instincts, good technique in the back end, wide receiver background, so he tracks the ball extremely well. Again, not the fastest guy, but should be a contributor for Nick Saban at Alabama. Kid out of Trussville in Alabama, Trussville High School, I should say. Number 178 overall player, number 17 safety. There's going to be a bit of a learning curve. Played a lot of receiver in high school, but he should develop very, very nicely. Next up, defensive tackle Jah-Marien Latham, the 4-star. And this will be key because if Timothy Smith, who we talked about earlier, decommits and goes to Florida, Latham all of a sudden becomes that much more important. Has good size. Not quite the recruit Smith is, but really good size, 6'3", 280, can fill out that frame a little bit more. I'll expect him to be a 300-pounder. In high school, they actually lined him up at defensive end a lot. Has pretty good speed at that size, but I think he will be more of a defensive tackle in college. He just became a lot more valuable if Timothy Smith ends up flipping on signing day. Traeshon Holden, the 4-star wide receiver, just another receiver in this year's class. They got to get a lot of them because a lot of them are going to be playing on Sundays very, very soon. Another top 200 player for Nick Saban. So Traeshon Holden, the 4-star wide receiver out of Harbor City, California, as he comes from the West Coast, should be an impact player down the road for the Crimson Tide. Now, if you look at Alabama's recruiting class rankings, 24/7 Composite has them at number 2. That's the combination of ESPN Rivals and 24/7 Sports. ESPN has them as the number 1 class. Rivals has them as the number 3 class. 24/7 has them at the number 2 class. And again, we showed you guys earlier, Clemson and Alabama are going back and forth for that top spot. We'll see what happens on National Signing Day. I want to ask you guys this question. Will Nick Saban win another national title? There's a lot of buzz going around that his best days are behind him, not even in the college football playoff. Even the New Year's Six this year didn't even win the SEC West. Type Y for yes, type in for no. I'm curious what you guys think. He is 68 years old, getting older. Let me know if you guys think Nick Saban will win another national title. Now, I know it's not just Bama fans watching these videos. Lots of LSU fans out there. If you're watching, got tons of LSU football recruiting videos on the channel for you guys. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Just hit that big red button. Release some videos every single week on LSU. Just released our top 25 recruiting classes video. I did that video last week. Get you updated on not just Bama and LSU, but the top 25 and some other programs as well. And how about the college football playoff? We've got you covered on all things college football. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Hit that big red button so you know when our college football videos are on the channel for you guys. Keep it rolling with this Bama recruiting class. Kristian Story, 4-star athlete. This guy might be the most intriguing player in this entire class. Played quarterback and safety in high school and has some ability as a quarterback. Now, I'm not sure if he will play quarterback at Alabama, especially with Bryce Young coming in, but you see the tape, really good athlete. The comp I've seen out there for him is actually former TCU quarterback Trevon Boykin, who had some offers at bigger schools to play defensive back, went to TCU, developed, and became a really good college quarterback. I don't know if Story's going to get that opportunity at Alabama. He'll probably play safety, but he's got some ability at quarterback. I'm fascinated to see how this plays out for Kristian Story and Alabama. Next player here, Jayson Jones, 4-star defensive tackle. Again, depth player here, has a bit of a learning curve. His biggest issue is doesn't have the best motor. Got a ton of talent, but inconsistent effort at times. That's why he's ranked a little bit lower than some of the other guys we have mentioned. 4-star corner, Jahquez Robinson. Bama's got to get better at the cornerback position. Last couple of years has not been the standard that they are used to. Got to get better on the back end. Hopefully Robinson can come in and do just that. Javon Cohen, 4-star offensive tackle. Guys, we know what it is. Bama is offensive line U. I'm sure this guy will be playing on Sundays down the road. He can play tackle, can play inside as well. I would project him to play right tackle at some point in Tuscaloosa. Jamil Burroughs, another defensive tackle here. They've got 4 or 5 in this year's class. Could be why Timothy Smith is considering transferring to Florida. Big-bodied guy, 6'2", 323 pounds, out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Number 33 overall defensive tackle is Jamil Burroughs. Big-bodied guy. Technique, not quite there yet. Good run stopper. Doesn't really get after the quarterback much, but he needs probably a redshirt year in my mind to help develop at the next level. Got to improve that upper body strength as well, but Jamil Burroughs should develop into a nice player down the road. Now, I want you Bama fans to shout out your favorite player in the 2020 class. The cheap cop-out answer is Bryce Young, who is my favorite player. Producer Dylan was watching some tape on him as well. He is pretty electric back there. That's why I compared him to an undersized Deshaun Watson. He dances around, makes things happen back there. Could play as a freshman next year if Tua goes pro. We'll see what happens with Mac Jones as well. But let me know what you guys think. Who is your favorite player in this 2020 class for Alabama? Let me know in the comments section. Now, Bama fans, I don't know how much you guys care about the Citrus Bowl, but you guys are 7-point favorites against the Michigan Wolverines. The over-under is set at 59. If you want to bet on this game, got to do it with our betting partner, BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CFB120. I've got an idea for you guys. Put down $100 before bowl season starts. You'll have plenty of money to bet on the entire bowl schedule. That's 39 bowl games. You'll have plenty of money left over because you'll get that 120% deposit bonus. Got to do it today. Chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CFB120. Next group of players here, we got Ronald Williams. How about this kid? You're probably thinking, whoa, JUCO player to Alabama, Nick Saban? Yeah. Texas A&M and Auburn were in the mix as well. Nick Saban was able to lure this kid in to his program. Only 2 years remaining. So if Nick Saban's getting a guy that only has 2 years left, expect him to compete right away. I mentioned earlier, they got to get better at the cornerback position. This guy finds the ball. He forces turnovers. Was a JUCO first-team All-American this past year. Jimbo Fisher made a late push for him, but Alabama was able to secure him. He is going to enroll in January. I would expect him to play this next season for Alabama. I think he's got a chance to be an NFL player as well. Kyle Edwards, 3-star running back, a bigger back for Alabama, already 210 pounds, runs with power. I would expect him to probably redshirt as a freshman and then get in the mix in 2 seasons. Damian George, this is a huge kid, 6'6", 348 pounds. You watch him on tape, though, not very agile, very powerful, but his technique is not there yet. He needs to redshirt and work on some of those things that makes you a better offensive lineman at the college level. In high school, he's able to just overpower everybody because he's so big. Technique is not there yet. That's why he's a 3-star. Seth McLaughlin, the 3-star center, he's simply undersized, 6'3", 270, somewhere in that range. Needs to put on 20 or 30 pounds. I almost guarantee that he will redshirt for Nick Saban this year. Then the 3-star tight end, Caden Clark, has pretty good size, already 245, 250 pounds, mostly a blocker in high school, not the fastest guy. I think he got clocked at a 4.940, somewhere in that range. Mostly a blocker. I think he could be a red zone target as well, but most of his tape is as a blocker, so I would expect that would be his primary role for Nick Saban. Kid out of Akron, Ohio, top 500 player there, lowest rated recruit for Alabama, but they needed to get a tight end in this class. They got Caden Clark. He's the last commit out of 25 for this year's Bama class. You look at the SEC recruiting rankings, you got Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Florida, who jumped Auburn in recent days. And then top 5 overall, as we circle back again, Clemson, Bama, LSU, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Clemson, and Alabama. That's kind of the story, guys. They've been going back and forth. Bama jumped them. Clemson re-jumped them. They keep going back and forth according to 24/7 Sports composite rankings. We'll see what happens this Wednesday on early National Signing Day. And just to remind you guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Hit that big red button because we're going to have tons of recruiting coverage for signing day on Wednesday, just a couple of days away. Got to subscribe so you know when our videos hit the channel. So make sure you do that, and we'll see you next time.